Okay, hi YouTube, Mr. Who's the Boss here, and in this video I want to just talk about the next PlayStation Vita, or just the next handheld device in general for Sony. I mean, personally, I really love the PlayStation Vita. I think it's, it's everything I wanted for quite a while. It has, console quality games, portable form factor, really nice screen, pretty good battery life, and, plenty of really good quality titles to play. So in this video I'm just going to sort of discuss this topic really. I mean, do I think that Sony will release another handheld device? What do I think it will be like? So yeah, just stay tuned and enjoy this video. So I'm just going to start by saying that yes, I really do think that Sony will release another portable device. I don't know what they'll call it. Probably won't be the PS Vita 2. I mean, it might be, I don't know, next generation portable like they were going to call the Vita. It could be anything, and I don't think it'll be anytime soon. I think people will stop trusting Sony. I mean, if Sony release a new sort of platform every couple of years, then I think people will stop buying into it, because they'll say, I'll hold off until the next platform, that kind of thing. So I think Sony will wait a few years before releasing it, and I think it will have to be a massive improvement. I mean, I know the Vita didn't sell well, and that's really unfortunate because it's such a great device, but I mean, it's a combination of things, and I really do think that Sony know where they've gone wrong with this. I mean, they sort of, they marketed it as more of a PS4 and PS3 accessory than a console itself, and, its roster of games is just sort of evidence for that. There are some really, really good titles on here, don't get me wrong, but most of them are either console ports but slightly inferior, or they're just not sort of very big branded games. There's some really good indies on here, but they don't sell systems, to be honest, and, that's unfortunate because if they did, I mean, the Vita would be massive, it would be way up there, but no, they don't. I mean, so, assuming that Sony do release a new next-gen portable device, which I think there is still a market for, and I think that, if Sony released a really, really impressive device, I think it's still got potential to sell really well. I mean, what I think this device would need to have is a larger screen. I mean, 5 inches is, it's alright, but I mean, once you increase the resolution to sort of HD and onwards, then 5 inches becomes a little bit limited for what we sort of would consider a console quality experience. I mean, a lot of people, when they're at home, they don't play on their Vita because they say, I'd rather enjoy the game on my big screen TV, and that's true. I mean, a bigger screen does offer a more immersive experience. So I mean, I think Sony's next gen sort of device, it should have sort of an edge-to-edge display, something like 6 inches or close enough, and I think that'll be really good. The resolution, I don't know, and this is a tough one, I mean, personally, I'd actually be very happy with a 720p panel. I mean, a lot of people, they sort of want, 1080p, 2K resolutions, but I don't think that's a good idea. I mean, imagine the power required to power a 1080p or 2K display, which, to be honest, you're not really going to notice that much of a difference from a 720p, if you hold your console at a reasonable distance, which most people do. So, yeah, I think, honestly, I really do think 720p is perfect size in terms of resolution. For the actual internals, this is where Sony has to really buck up. I mean, the Sony PS Vita is powerful, don't get me wrong, but it's sort of slightly dwarfed by all these mobile phones that are coming out, and I think Sony needs to make sure that their next-gen handheld stays well ahead of the competition. And I know that's not going to be possible for, the whole console's life cycle, but they certainly have to make it true for the next sort of 3 or 4 years after it's released. Otherwise, people aren't going to buy into it. They want something that's really cutting edge, that's next gen, and, I think being powerful is probably one of the first prerequisites for that. The next thing, I mean, I think Sony really needs to ditch all the gimmicks. I mean, as we've seen from the PlayStation 4 versus the Xbox One, gamers just want power, they want a tool which is versatile, but also, not gimmicky. I mean, the PS4 sold so well just because it's simple. The Xbox One, it tried to do everything, but it ended up not doing anything particularly well. And I think it's same with the PlayStation Vita. They've added a front touchscreen, they've added a back touchscreen, they've added gyroscope and all this sort of thing, and generally speaking, it hasn't really, enhanced the gaming experience at all. I mean, if Sony had just sort of priced, their PS Vita a bit lower and just cut out all the gimmicks, I think it would have sold better, just a more powerful PlayStation Portable that could play PS3 games. That's pretty much what everyone wanted. But, they had to go and add all this stuff, to make it sound cool, but in the end, it didn't really lead to better games, and that's what matters. So I think in their next generation portable, Sony needs to just ditch all the gimmicks. I think they should get rid of the back touchscreen, probably the gyroscope, but I mean the front touchscreen might be useful, and to be honest is not a particularly expensive technology to put in. I mean it does make sort of navigating the UI a lot easier, so maybe a front touchscreen would be okay. However, I think that the next Vita definitely needs L2 and R2 buttons. I mean, that's one of the things holding it back significantly in terms of sort of remote play and being able to properly have a console experience. So, I mean, not only that, but I think, it should have proper console quality joysticks. I mean, the current Vita ones, they're okay. They're little nubs and they sort of, they offer fairly smooth movement, but they just do not feel like a console's joysticks. We want proper console controls. In terms of the sort of feel and the weight and the size of the device, I mean, honestly, as long as I can sort of fit it in a backpack, I'm not bothered at all. I mean, I think, from sort of using devices like the Nvidia Shield, I sort of realised that what really matters is you get this sort of no-holds-barred performance, and the only way to really do that is to not compromise in terms of trying to fit lots into a small amount of space. I mean, that's what happens with most portable devices. I mean, the Nvidia Shield is clunky. I mean, yeah, it is big, but seriously, I mean, you don't regret that when you start playing the games. They look incredible, and everything just runs buttery smooth. So I mean, instead of sort of having to downclock processors and stuff, if they just make a slightly larger form factor, which I'm perfectly happy with, and they probably will end up doing if the screen's going to be larger, it can be a bit thicker, it can be a bit heavier, it really doesn't matter. Then they can have a really, really high performance device which is still portable. I mean, it doesn't have to fit in your pocket. I mean, I think very few people carry around the Vita in their pocket anyway. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more.